sector. So good afternoon, Erin Thomas Wong. It's absolutely delightful to talk to you. We've been having a little chat earlier on today as well. Just to introduce you to everybody, Erin's business is the Mumpreneur Collective, and she's got the most amazing background in TV production, which she's going to tell us about in a minute, and a bit of travelling all over the world. What a life, fantastic. And has just written a book which she's going to tell us all about and why, because it's fascinating, called Mumpreneur Evolution on Our Terms. So I'm going to pass the stick over to you, Erin, and you can give us a quick overview of your career. We'll be chatting on for about 20 minutes. I will interrupt you because I'm like that, and then we'll see where you're going to go from the end of this. Very interested to know what your teachers said about you at school, and whether that's any reflection on who you are now as a grown-up. So over to you, and it'd be great to hear about your career, Erin. Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking me on. It's brilliant to talk to you. So my background is in TV production. I was very determined from a young age that I wanted to work in the media, and I did a ton of work experience, getting up at 4 a.m. to work on the local radio programme and things like that. And I was lucky enough to get a job at the BBC when I graduated. And I worked on programmes like Celebrity Wife Swap, Scrap Heap Challenge, the MTV Awards, and worked my way up to be a production manager. And I absolutely loved it. But I always thought, how am I going to do this job when I have kids? Because I was on call 24/7 and I had crews going out and travelling. And so when I went on maternity leave 12 years ago now with my first son, I kind of thought I'll take a year off and I'll be a proper earth mother and I'll gaze into his eyes and it will be wonderful. And of course I was in for a big shock. I had a really traumatic birth and an emergency C-section, and then my milk didn't come in and I couldn't breastfeed, and it just completely shook the foundations of who I was. And, you know, and also very much, you know, I was a person that worked in TV. I love nothing more than going to social events and people say, what do you do? And I say, I work in TV, and their eyes would light up. Yeah. That was very much my identity. And then there I was, completely sleep deprived, completely anxious, more anxious than I've ever been in my life, with this tiny baby. So within a few months, I realised I didn't think I could go back to that career for now anyway. And, you know, what could I do? Because I desperately needed something that was for me and something that I had some control over, because I certainly didn't feel like I had any control over this baby. Yeah.
Don't come with a manual, do they? You know, and you never know what you're going to get till you've got it.
But that thing is that everyone tells you, all the books say that you can. All the books say this is what you do, and they'll go to sleep all night. This is what you do, and they won't cry. And it just all went out the window. So basically I had a light bulb moment when a friend was telling me that she was going to the Earl's Court in London to go to the baby show purely to get this piece of jewellery with her children's fingerprint in. And I thought, oh, that sounds good. I'll go online and see if they can come and do my NCT group. And basically that I had a look, and it came up saying, no one in your area, franchise opportunity available. Yes. And I just had one of those moments like, what's a franchise? What does this mean? Yeah. And that was really the turning point of me thinking, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can run my own business. Yeah. And I was really lucky to get voluntary redundancy, which is, you know, I was so lucky to have a staff job anyway in TV. So got voluntary redundancy, bought this franchise when my son was 6 months old. And it was such a steep learning curve. My friends and family thought I was mad because I'm such a gregarious person. They're like, why would you leave the fun life of TV and work on your own doing it? And I mean, all I can say is it just felt right, and it felt like the most exciting thing.
But it's sort of been the start of a journey for you, hasn't it, really? Yeah.
And from then it's kind of snowballed, and I then went on to co-found Ealing Mums in Business, where we did markets and events and networking. I then went on to found another business called Pitter Patter, the Hub for Bubs, which were venues for baby and toddler groups. Of course, these are all linked. We're all talking about mums, so they all helped, the businesses all helped each other.
Yes, of course.
And then we also got recognised in the Houses of Parliament for our work supporting small businesses. Fantastic. So things were amazing. And then we had the opportunity to go to Abu Dhabi for my husband's job, which was a huge decision to make, but it kind of felt like it's one of those things that you just can't turn down.
Sounds amazing though, especially what he was doing as well. What a great opportunity for your husband. It's amazing.
Yeah, so he was asked by Warner Brothers to go out and head up this theme park that they were building in the desert.
Yes.
So I mean, you know, come on, you cannot turn that down. So by that point we had 2 kids and we went out to the Middle East. But it was the hardest thing we've ever done, and I felt incredibly lonely and isolated. And it was at that point really that it was kind of that realization that all the businesses I built were so community focused.
Yes.
And I needed something that was online so that I could, you know, feel connected to people and move the business, because we didn't know how long we would be in Abu Dhabi. So it was at that point that I decided I wanted an online business, a scalable business. But you know, my passion was working with mums, and so that's when I created, at that point it was called Making Mumpreneurs, now called the Mumpreneur Collective, and then we decided to come home because Abu Dhabi really didn't suit us, and we moved to Bournemouth. So lots of change in that time, but it was the best move that we ever made. So now we're here in Bournemouth, and the Mumpreneur Collective is my sole focus now, and I absolutely love it.
Yes. So we have quite a lot in common, which is what we were talking about just now, is to helping other people to, you know, to be successful. And we have the other thing in common, of course, which is both of our businesses sit online. So that's quite handy as well. And we were talking earlier about sort of community and connection. And that's sort of an important part of what you do with your people.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, I've had, you know, the term mumpreneur has had some negative press. Over a year ago, there was a thing where they said that they, like, the term mumpreneur was patronising, and I was invited to go on to BBC Radio 4 Women's Hour to debate it. And you know, from my point of view, deciding to live a kind of mumpreneur lifestyle means that I am creating a business that works around my family's life.
Yes,
you know, I left a career when I was working 60 hours a week, and I did not want to start a business that would take up 60 hours a week. I wanted to create a business where I could still pick the kids up from the school gates. And so it's all about carving your own path. And, you know, there are so many women in my community who are doing the same, and you know, they're the people I want to help. And I also feel like, you know, I need to be a bit of a champion here for mums in business, and make it clear that we're not hobbyists. You know, we're serious business people. It's just the fact that we are very aware that we have other responsibilities, and that does not make us any less business women.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, I've been speaking to quite a lot of people that have been working from home, you know, they've had where there's been the husband and wife team or mum on their own with the children, you know, during the lockdown period, and how challenging and difficult that's actually been for them, you know, and certainly if they're, you know, just started or trying to get their business off the ground. I know on Academy, we've had 1 or 2 people that are just recently started and are looking for, you know, really strong, solid ways of starting their business up, which of course is online, but it's very, very challenging to have that real good balance between family and work life, isn't it? And I did the same as you. You know, I went back to uni in the middle when my children were born, and went into lecturing in education so that I could be with them. So the same sort of thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think one thing I was just going to say as well about the whole, like, over the years, people have said to me, why is it just for mums? Why, you know? And I think that what people maybe don't understand is the fact that, like, you know, when I was talking about my birth story, when I became a mum, it completely shook who I was. And so you find that a lot of women, you know, especially if they're taking a break from work when they have their baby, they feel like things have changed for them, because of course they have, but they lose their confidence, they lose their sense of identity. And if you mix that then into starting a business where, let's face it, when you're running a business, you have to do everything, but you don't necessarily know how to do everything.
Yes, that's it.
So there's all these things that come in, the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome and the inner critic. And that's why I think there is, well, I know there is a need for a community for mums in business where they can talk openly about how they're feeling.
Yes, yeah, and obviously you've created this this place for them to do that, and it's a safe environment for them to do that. And I know that you've got over 3,000 people on your collective Facebook page, which is just phenomenal, really. And people that obviously want to listen, and that will develop. So, sort of moving forward, what are you going to do with all these people, all these ideas you've got, and also you've just written this book? So how's that all going to fit into into your future, Erin?
So basically the way that Mumpreneur Collective works is I've got the free Facebook group community, and then I've also got my monthly membership, which is called the Cocoon. And in the Cocoon, that's where all the business training is. We've got experts on hand. We do Zoom member calls to keep in touch with each other. We have a marketing live surgery. So in the Cocoon, we've got over 100 women who, over the last 3 years since they've first started joining, have been growing their businesses. And talking about, helping the mumpreneur term, reclaiming that mumpreneur term as a positive word, I wanted to write this book because I wanted to share their stories and make it clear that these are professional women who are running serious businesses.
Yes.
So Mumpreneur Evolution, on our terms, is a collection of interviews with these women, and the response so far has just been amazing. So I self-published on Amazon. It was listed #1 hot new Amazon release in small business and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And what's been amazing is the response from people who aren't in my community yet, who said how inspiring they found it, how comforting they found it to read these other women who are, going through similar challenges, but they're all striving for the same thing. We want to create this sustainable business that's going to work on our terms. So yeah, it's really exciting to have the book finally out there, and I want to get the book out there to as many people as possible, spread the word that it is possible to do this, and to run a business around family life.
Yeah, it is. So what are some of these businesses that the people in your book are doing? What sort of businesses are they running?
So we've got such an eclectic mix. So we've got photographers, we've got virtual assistants, we've got social media consultants, we've got surveyors, we've got coaches. It's such a wide, and also product-based businesses.
Yeah, fantastic.
And what's great is that everyone has their unique set of circumstances that led them to build their businesses.
Yeah.
And their businesses are all so different. But being able to be in a community together means that you can learn. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff about staying with your own industry, but actually if you can open your eyes and see what other people are doing in other industries, it can help you be innovative.
Yes. But I think the thing is also is because you've got this production background, and and you've had to put projects together, is all of those skills led you to this place, and then the fingerprint jewelry then led you to the mums, etc., etc., etc. So it's a journey, isn't it, really, Erin? And similarly with mine, with education, business, and training, it sort of takes you to this place where you can help other people with those skills that you have. And what some people don't know, when they look at just I guess the cover on the box for you, is they don't actually know what's behind it, which is why I wanted to sort of bring that to people's attention, because I can see, from your profile online that you've got that solid corporate background. And as you said, interesting that you were one of, a very few people that actually works in media that was on the payroll, because so many people are just self-employed, aren't they? Oh, and just something else you said as well, actually, is both of my daughters were on a program called I Want My Own Room, and I think the presenter of that was the same person that was on Scrap Heap Challenge. So
really?
So I just thought about that when you said, oh my goodness, so they made my whole garage into a theatre. The BBC, and so it's all great fun though, isn't it? Because I used to work with Chrysalis myself, so I understand the the industry that you've been in as well. So sort of moving forward for you then, what's sort of next? I know that we talked about this sort of retreats and masterminding and things like that. What does that look like? What does the future look like, Erin?
Yeah, so I definitely want to scale my Cocoon membership. And I know how valuable it is for all the women in there, and having that ongoing support is helping them to grow much faster. So scaling my membership. Also, we touched on the whole idea of a business retreat. That's something that, that I've been going away and doing a kind of solo retreat and having a night in a hotel and just having time to think, and it's absolutely blissful. In fact, as soon as lockdown has lifted last week and the hotels were open, I sent myself off to Beverley Manor in the New Forest for the night.
But you have to do that sometimes, don't you, just to stop your head. I had this, I think somebody's just put up a video actually of me talking to them about, your mental health. It's not actually that's your mental ill health. It's just like your physical ill health. And it could take over so quickly. You can get burnt out very quickly. And certainly, all these hours that we're doing in front of our screens at the moment, you can work intensely over the day. It's not like popping in your car and listen to a bit of music between appointments, things like that. It's very intensive, isn't it? So it's so important to to stop. So well done you for Beverley Manor. I'll see you there.
And it's wonderful, and and I think as well as a mum with kids at home, it's the barrage of questions all day, and you're trying to think about everything. You're not only running the house and the kids and the food, but also about your business, and I just love going away and not having anyone talk to me. And I never, that's the other thing about I used to love, I do love being around people. I used to hate being on my own, but I think as I've got older, oh my goodness, I treasure that time on my own. And I know that there's a lot of other women that do as well, but I know there's women that would love the idea of going away but feel mum guilt or feel low in confidence about going away. So when I said to my members, like, would you like me to organise a retreat at Beverley Manor or whatever, they're like, oh my goodness. So that's exciting. So basically kind of, I think really developing the Cocoon membership and offering things like the business retreat and also masterminding. I'd really love to get that up and running. Kind of a monthly mastermind. And just getting out there and speaking to more people. I'd really love to do more speaking as well. And with your background and the sort of the journey that you've had, that would fit quite well. You need to do a TEDx talk, don't you, with your little... maybe.
I've just been interviewing actually in Southampton. So maybe next time you can do that. What I'm very, very interested in is always, as a psychologist, is where you started from and where you've got to. And we've all got these school reports that goes, talks too much, doesn't concentrate enough. What did your teachers say about you at school, Erin? Can you remember anything?
Well, and this is the thing that was funny, because when you mentioned that, when we were talking before, I was like, oh my goodness, I suddenly feel a bit worried about the fact that I don't have many memories from that time. The things I do remember about the school age, I do remember teachers saying that I was a worrier. And I am still a bit of a worrier, but I've been doing a lot of work on that. So that is something that, and the way that they said it was very negative, but I think that's something that, now we talk a lot about.
You were good at critical thinking, that you were a worrier.
Yes. I think that's something that I've really worked on with my own personal development and stuff. And I think I got caught up a lot in friendship issues. The whole thing of having a best friend and falling out with people. I mean, I was a good student. I was absolutely a good student, and I was also very driven, because otherwise I wouldn't have been going and doing the work experience stuff that I did. But I can't actually, I feel really sad about it, but I don't remember having a kind of standout teacher who said something to me, that was really inspirational.
Well, so, I can loan you a couple of reports. That's mine. They were horrendous.
I did actually go up to the loft and try to see whether I've got any reports, and I can't find any, so I don't know.
So funny, isn't it? I love it. Well, it's been absolutely delightful to talk to you, Erin, and I hope that we can sort of continue this at some stage, and be very, very interested to sort of have another chat with you about your masterclass and things like that. Mastermind, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But so with your book, where is your book? It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, Kindle or paperback, and it's Mumpreneur Evolution on our terms. And I have a free Facebook group called the Mumpreneur Collective, so do come over and connect there.
So we're going to put this little chat onto my YouTube channel, which is Beverley Poole, so people can go and watch that there, and we'll pick up on that again later, but I'll put the links to your business inside that information. So Erin, thank you so much for coming to chat. It's been absolutely lovely, and let's do it again sometime.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
No problem at all.